Redditors who rage quit a job without thinking. What was the last straw? After working 37 years, I requested a leave from work to care for my partner who was dying of cancer. I had 8 weeks of PTO time and was denied the request. So I quit to care for him in his last month of life. I was working at a call center. My shift started at 10. I badged into the building at about 9:55 and logged on. But the decrepit PC I was using took so long to boot up that when I finally logged in, I was 15 seconds late. I told my supervisor and he said there's nothing he can do. Since I was late, I was put on probation and wouldn't be eligible for a raise for another month. And that I should arrive 15 minutes early so that situation won't happen again. I handed him my headset, walked out, and have never worked in a call center since. I need a summer job while in high school, so I applied at a local grocery store to bag stock clean. My first day there was some sort of confusion as to what I was supposed to do or to whom I was to report. I was sent to the front counter where the customer service manager gave me a till and told me to open a register. Mind you, I'd had zero training on a register. I didn't even know how to put the till in it, for duck's sake. I told the lady this and was told to go do my job. Within about 2 minutes at the register there was a line several deep, and I'm just standing there with the till in my hands. The customer service lady comes storming over asking why I had such a line, and I tried again to explain to her that I was supposed to be a stocker or whatever and that I knew nothing about operating a register. She called me stupid in front of the customers, so I handed her the till and told her to go duck herself. Walked down the street in my uniform and got a job at another grocery store. Went through several interviews and started a new gig. I'd be providing call center support for Windows, maybe some Apple support. Nothing I couldn't handle. I am, after all, IT support. Hell, I even cleaned the mouse while trying to take the technical test. I get a start date and am told it'd be 2 weeks of training. No big deal. I can do 2 weeks of training. I show up on day 1 of training, and it supports for Whirlpool washing machines and dryers. Hold the ducking phone. What? That's right. Classic bait and switch. I got up, walked over to my hiring manager and said, I quit. You hired me for Windows support, not washing machines and dryers, and walked out. 2 weeks later I get a call. Hey, this is your manager. I'm calling to find out why you haven't come to work in 2 weeks. Apostrophe. I guess you didn't get that memo. I quit on day 1 because your company lied to me. Apostrophe. Got an $80 paycheck. About 7 years later I got a letter in the mail that a class action lawsuit had been filed against the company for labor law violations. 2 months after that, I got an 8-cent check in the mail. I giggled. After helping an elder getting the best option for him and not the most expensive, I get called to the office. Boss, do you feel bad deceiving customers? Me. Yeah, of course boss. You're in the wrong place, fuck you and your miserable life, bitch. I worked as a stock boy in the back of Hollister, clothing retail for those unaware. Never really had interaction with customers but was still forced to buy their clothes to wear to work. They had all these rules about hairstyles, fingernails, and facial hair. One night I came in to start a shift at 2:30 AM to do a floor change. So middle of the night and the shift would end around the time the store opened up. I had the slightest bit of stubble on my face, like a day and a half's worth of stubble. My manager, at 4 AM, told me she had a problem with my facial hair and that when the mall opened up I better go buy a razor and shave before anyone saw me like that, as she would have to send me home for the night. I basically said, well, lucky for me. I was planning on quitting anyways. Good luck with the floor change, and walked out. Went and got a biscuit breakfast. Went home and got in bed. Boss not doing payroll before leaving on a business trip and leaving it to the poor office manager to tell people they weren't gonna get paid on time. I walked out of the staff meeting saying I'd be back when paychecks arrived. By the time I got home I was mad enough to call my ops manager back and quit. Why didn't the boss do payroll? Stated answer was printer toner cartridge at home was empty. Guess he'd never heard of writing checks with a pen. I was about to start at a new company. We had met previously and agreed a starting date etc. Turn up for my first day only to be greeted by "Why the duck are you ducking here?" Turns out the boss thought I was starting a week later. Just turned around and left. Knew it wasn't going to be worth working there. I worked on a farm throughout high school for a very wealthy couple. The husband was a successful commercial real estate agent, and the wife trained dogs to do hunt and amp field tests. I primarily worked for the wife, assisting in training the dogs, but as it was a farm, I did various things for the husband as well. The husband was a raging alcoholic who would get pissed if you wouldn't share a drink with him when offered. When his wife was out of town participating in competitions with the dogs, I would have to drive over to the farm multiple times a day to feed the horses, clean out their stalls, etc, and I would often run into him. But I tried to avoid it when possible because he made me uncomfortable. Anyway, I was like 17 and it was summer, so I accidentally slept through my 6 AM alarms one morning and didn't get to the farm until around 8 to feed the horses and clean out their stalls. Not like it mattered. Horses can't tell time. The husband was there and had already been drinking, as I could smell it on him, and he started laying into me about being so late. He told me I was a poor white trash piece of shit, and if my parents let me oversleep for my job, then they're even worse white trash pieces of shit and I won't ever amount to anything just like them. Yada yada. I told him he could take care of the horse shit himself and that I quit. And as I was leaving, he was yelling at the top of his lungs that he would find me and kill me. I never went back. When I was in between jobs, I applied to work a construction job that needed harness trained people. I was just coming off working as a solar installer, so I figured I'd give it a shot. First day on the job, they take me up to the top of their scaffolding section to clamp down beams. No biggie. I ask where their walkboards or scaffolding walks are for this floor because all the other floors have walkways, whereas this one is just 1-inch beam, 3-foot gap, 1-inch beam all the way across, 100 plus feet in the air. They tell me they don't have any. Okay, I'll deal. After a few hours of grueling work, I depleted my gallon jug of water and was getting dizzy. I called down to the elevator operator to bring me down. Without missing a beat, he shouts climb and walks off to smoke a cigarette. I climbed down all 14 or so stories on angled beams with no harness while bordering on heat exhaustion. Walked up to the foreman, told him he was going to kill someone and it wasn't going to be me, and left. Edit. To all the commenters talking about reporting them to OSHA. I got the job via a friend of a friend and I couldn't even tell you the name of the place now. This was about 6 years ago. At the time I just wanted to be rid of them. But yes, I absolutely should have notified OSHA. I worked at Best Buy in the mid-zeros. I started as a cashier and eventually made my way to the customer service booth, which was something you had to earn. One day, it was a bit busier than usual and I was in the booth with another girl who was a notorious lazy shit. The boss asked her to jump on a register to clear out a line and she said no. So the boss asked me and I said no also because I was already given another task. The next day, they pulled me into the office and told me I was demoted because of it. I walked right to my locker, grabbed my stuff, and left. Turns out the girl was banging the boss and that's why she was allowed to say no. But I couldn't. I started work in a bar in town and was told to be at work at 7 PM for my first shift, with the manager providing me with a typed timesheet showing my new working hours. Went home and had a cat nap. At 5 PM my new manager calls me asking where the hell I am and telling me I need to come in now. I referred him to my timesheet which stated I was to be in at 7 PM. To which he told me the timesheet doesn't effing matter. You do what I tell you. Apostrophe. Hearing this, I politely told him that I would not be in tonight or ever. Good night and went back to my cat nap. I was a truck unloader at Walmart. We unloaded freight into skids sorted by department. There were 3 of us who were new. Doing the best we can trying to memorize where the department skids are and hauling ass as fast as we could. The store manager came to check in on us and said we weren't going fast enough. To speed us up, he pushed everything that was on rollers onto the floor. I walked over and gave him my badge and knife and left. Worked at Best Buy in high school. Some people from a different store transferred over and one of them took over scheduling from my supervisor. She gave me a total of 10 hours a week down from my usual 30-40. I had to save 2 checks just to pay my shitty cheap cricket phone bill with those hours. I complained to my sup about her scheduling and they raised me to about 15 hours. I couldn't understand why or what I had done to get cut so much. When my birthday came close I reminded her constantly to not schedule me that day, which shouldn't have been a problem considering my shit hours. She told me constantly not to worry. Schedule comes out and that's the one day I am scheduled a full 8 hours. I try to contact her and they tell me she's on vacation and I can't change my schedule. I called to quit that same day. Then later I find out that the manager who I called when I quit had been smuggling money from the store at the moment I called her and was leaving the city. She never told anyone I called to quit.